Now hit it. Call the order of Town of St. John Board of Zoning Appeals, August 16th, 2021. All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess, Jason, you're in charge. Can you give us a roll call?
John Kennedy.
Here.
Mr. Popovich.
Here.
Nancy.
Here.
And
Brendan.
Sorry.
No, Brendan's not here.
Oh, Brendan is not here.
Mark LaRue.
Mark LaRue.
Here.
Attorney Adam Decker.
Here.
And Chris Salatis.
Here.
Thank you. Next in the agenda, sorry to put you on the spot there, Jason. Next in the agenda is minutes. Currently, we don't have our minutes up, but so we're going to take a vote to defer. Is that correct, Mr. Decker?
Yes,
Okay.
you may.
All right. Do I have a?
So moved. To defer.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? We have to go through roll call because Nancy's remote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please, Jason? Put you on the spot again.
John Kennedy.
Yes.
Mr. Popovich.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
And Mark LaRue.
Yes. Thank you. Next on the agenda, 2021-14 developmental variance per St. John MC 24-516E1 to encroach into the 8-foot side yard along street with structure fence with the fence. In addition, St. John MC 24-520 to obstruct sightline in the corner lot within a triangular area formed by street property lines at 12681 Paintbrush Court, Adam, and Ivana Sidia. Thank you. Thank you. The homeowners, would you care to step up to the podium, please?
Thank you.
It doesn't matter, whichever you feel comfortable with.
All right. Good evening. My name is Adam Cedia. I live and own the property at 12681 Paintbrush in the Sun Meadows subdivision. I apologize for any extraneous noise.
No worries.
My family and I moved here in November 2019, and we love the town and we love the subdivision. As you can see, we have 2 young children, and we wanted to put a 6-foot privacy fence in to keep them in the yard and to keep people and animals out of our yard. The problem is we live on a corner lot next to Primrose, which is a through street and is fairly busy. But because we live on that corner, to build out from the side of the house facing Primrose, a fence has to be flush with the edge of the house. We contracted with Reeves Fencing, who pulled the permit, and according to the plans we wanted, it didn't comply with that requirement of the town code. Now, I don't know if you have in your packets the actual petition, but the copy I have includes photographs showing that if you do build straight back from the edge of the house, you run into a spruce tree. And we do not want to remove the tree, and then building it back would also cut off about 1/4 of the backyard. So what we have requested and what we asked Reeves to build is to come out from the side of the house towards Primrose up to 6 feet in from the sidewalk. If you turn to this page, what we would like to do is come inside this line of arborvitae here and then follow the property line the rest of the way. So this outtake here would be the only variance from the town code we'd be requesting.
Well, actually, there's 2, because you've got encroachment into the side yard, plus there's a line of sight because you're on a corner lot.
Yes, but that's covered by the same provision of the town code, I believe.
I don't think so. Mr. Decker, can you comment to that?
So, section 24.516 E1, in all zoning districts, all developed uses shall provide a green or landscape yard along all streets. Such yard shall be kept clear of all structures and storage. Such yard, I'm sorry, I just lost that page. Such yard shall be at least 8 feet in depth along all streets measured from the street right-of-way. Except for driveways, the yard shall extend the entire frontage of the lot and along both streets in the case of a corner lot. So, I believe Mr. Seedy is referring to that last sentence that indicates that except for driveways, the yard shall extend the entire frontage of the lot and along both streets in the case of a corner lot. So because it's a corner lot, I believe that's what is.
And also, to the line of sight, I think is probably the question that I think that Mr. Sheeta mentioned as well. That wasn't, because we're talking about two different variances here, is my understanding when I look at this. So the encroachment in the side yard's number one. Number two would be obstruction of any sight lines that might be applicable there. And I don't think there is, but I want to just make sure that we're all on the same page.
I know which ordinance you're talking about, and I don't believe the fence would come close enough to the corner to fall within the
That's
angles
what
of...
I'm just trying to clarify that, that's all.
Okay. And then, as far as the character of the neighborhood goes, I took, these are not in the petition, I would be happy to turn these in. I took these photos as I was walking through the neighborhood. These were both taken on the corner of Morning Glory and Goldenrod in the same subdivision. As you can see, there are two homes that have actually a much more generous variance than we are requesting. They come
Yeah,
almost
I
right
did
up
see
to
that
the
one, Mr.
site.
Sheeta, when I went by your home, just to kind of look at that, and I'm not sure how they got away with that, quite honestly. I can't speak to that. That was before my time on this board. We would have never allowed it if it was, I don't know how long it's been there. We're actually going to have someone look into that for us because another member of the board mentioned to me as well. So I wouldn't use that as a reference point at this time, but we understand what you're coming from.
Well, one of
on
the
that.
factors to consider is the character of the subdivision, whether it would change. So I just want to present that
Oh,
to
I
the
understand.
board. I'm not saying because they did it, I should get it, but I want to bring that to the board's attention.
We appreciate that, and thank you.
And then again, this will not offend public health, safety, or morals. And I don't believe this in any way affects the town's comprehensive plan, as this is a residential area and we are requesting a fence similar to other fencing in the neighborhood. And I'm happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Does anyone have a question for Mr. Sita?
Yes, Mr. Cedia, can you tell me the depth or the length of the fence that heads east from your back corner? How far to the street to Primrose is that?
Okay, so the total distance from, and I'm eyeballing it here, I don't have the plans from Reeves with me. The total distance is 20 to 30 feet from the edge of the chimney, which is where the proposed build-out is, to the sidewalk. So from the edge of the house to the line we would want to follow, I would estimate 15 to 20 feet.
Can you explain the need for 15 to 20 feet there?
Again, it's to avoid the spruce tree. As you can see, it's part of, there's a like ivy/flower bed underneath. We want to avoid that. And it's to avoid having a gap between the arborvitae and the fence, which, could pose a shelter for animals. It could be difficult to maintain. This way, the fence would line up right along the trees, and there wouldn't be any gap between the arborvitae and the fence, which I think would be aesthetically unpleasing. And again, we don't want to remove or move any trees.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there going to be any walkway, gate at that?
Yes, there will be a gate right next to where the bush is. There is room for a gate on the other side of the house, but this allows easier access from the driveway, which is from where this picture was taken.
So, Mr. Cedar, I was at your house earlier today just looking at it, and my initial concern was what was a hardship for that 15-foot extension east from your house. From the angle I was looking at, it wouldn't need to be 15 feet to miss the tree in the rear yard, but you make logical sense by saying that you want to push it up against those arborvitaes. Because at one time I was like, what? Seeing the hardship, does it have to be 15 feet? Do you have to take it 6 feet out to the sidewalk? Because you're absolutely right. Your neighbor down the street should never have been allowed to do that that fence up along the sidewalk. That's unacceptable. We have done less than 6 just because of structural issues based on a house or some other item. But I think Mark and I were out there at the same time, so I hope you don't think we were.
Saw two guys swirling
Yeah,
around
street-
your neighborhood.
It's
that
a
was-
public street, I get it.
But that makes logical sense, because my first thought was, why do you need 15 feet to go all the way out to be 6 feet away? But it makes logical sense to push up against those arborvitaes, just for the sure fact you would have a gap between the arborvitaes.
Exactly, and I wouldn't have asked for that much had those arborvitaes not been there. That's the condition of the property. We bought it in. We did not add anything to this, so we're just asking to accommodate the existing condition of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I believe he will have to do the line of sight variance as well, because how the triangular is, it's from the corner of the lot to the corner of his house at that intersection. So there will have to be 2, because that's exactly what happened last month. There was 2 motions made because of this corner
Right.
lot. So we will have to go through that process, so.
So we did. In that vein, John, so we would have to then take the first issue up and then,
My recommendation, and Adam can correct me, is I would do the encroachment into the 10-foot side,
8-foot side.
8-foot side. So, and Mr. Cedia, just for your understanding, when we go into encroachment into a side yard of 2 feet, I would request a contingency from this board of no more than 2 feet, just so that we stay within the 6 feet request. We just want to, make sure we're just dotting our i's and crossing our t's, so.
Understood.
So then based on that, then the second motion would have to,
Would be the line of sight.
line of sight. What kind of fence are you putting? You said privacy fence, so it's going to be a solid fence then?
A solid white vinyl fence.
Okay. Kind of in line with what the rest of your neighbors have then?
Exactly.
Okay. Is there any questions regarding that topic? Quite honestly, I was at your house and I didn't see that, because you live in a court, to me, it didn't pose a problem, based on the fact that at the corner of your house, when you're looking from Painted Brush, before you reach the stop sign, the edge of your house and that triangle that comes out from that line, once you hit like the second arborvitae, you can't see past it anyway. I can see your neighbor's mailbox, and that was about the extent of it. So I don't know if anybody else has questions regarding that, but I don't see that as an issue with regards to line of sight. But again, we got to, again, as Mr. Kennedy mentioned, we got to just dot our i's.
And
cross
I
our t's
appreciate that.
It's a controlled intersection. If there wasn't a stop sign, I'd be
Right,
a little bit more
exactly.
concerned, but
All
there's a
the way
stop
around.
sign at all 3 ways. So everyone has to come to a stop at that intersection, and, I don't think it's going to be, if it wasn't a stop sign, there would be a little bit more concern, but.
Right. So I guess from the first variance, we'll entertain a motion on that. Do I have anyone who would like to put forth a motion regarding the first variance?
I will make a motion to approve the variance to encroach into the 8-foot side yard by no more than 2 feet along the street.
No more than 2 feet
Contingent on no more than 2 feet
from the,
within the 8-foot side yard,
Side
so you
yard,
can go
okay.
6 feet.
all right. So do we want to go through the findings of facts?
Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm going to reference, the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Thanks, Mr. Kennedy. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Drago, can we have a roll call, please? Jason?
John Kennedy,
Yes?
Drago Popovich,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mark LaRue.
Yes. Okay, we're halfway there. So on the next variance regarding the line of sight, any questions regarding that topic from the board?
No? Again, I went out there, I looked, it's a controlled intersection. I don't think the town will ever take that stop sign away. He's absolutely right, Primrose is a heavily traveled, you got coming out of the court, but,
Right.
so, I understand. I mean, you have these arborvitaes that break the rule, so.
Right, that's right.
So,
And
So-
Mr. Chairman, just for your reference.
Yes, sir.
The line of sight, the vision triangle that's referenced in section 24-520 of the code and zoning ordinance. And that refers to the sight lines at elevations between 2 and 6 feet and prohibiting there to be any wall, hedge, fence, or shrub which obstructs those sight lines in that triangle that you've referred to in your discussion. So it is a separate provision of the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Decker.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to read, we did get a comment on this.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sent in via the email. It is from Brian Usher. He said, I spoke with Mr. Mendoza of the Building and Planning Department about the work his neighbors plan to complete. He is unable to attend the meeting, but like to use his email as a vote of approval to complete the work that they want to do.
Thank you.
Chris, can I ask what location, what house, do we have an address?
Yes.
It's my next
he
door
is
neighbor on
Brian
Paintbrush.
G. Usher, 701 Paintbrush Court.
So he is just to the west of you,
Yes.
okay.
That's the only remonstration we received, was that?
That's the
Okay.
only one.
I
in
forgot to
support.
ask about for those. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. On that note, do we have a motion regarding the second variance?
I'll
Mr.
make a
Caesar.
motion to approve the obstruction of sight lines on the corner of the lot within the triangular area at 12681 Paintbrush Court, based on approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, and the strict application of the terms of the zone ordinance will result in practical difficulties of the use of the property. Adam, real quick, would this application be part of, just so that we have a drawing that shows the location of the fence? This will be part of the variance, correct? The motion?
Well, you can certainly, your condition that you stated earlier, I think not to encroach more than 2 feet into the 8-yard side setback, or, that area. That condition can be referenced, I think, by this drawing that's been submitted by the applicant, and can be certainly incorporated into the approval.
Okay. I'm going to contingent my motion on the reference that the encroachment does not exceed 2 feet into the right side yard regarding this obstruction line.
Perfect. Okay, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Can we please have a roll call?
John Kennedy,
Yes.
Drago Popovich,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mark LaRue.
Yes.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you for
Thank
sending
you
those
all.
pictures. Can we have those pictures? Because we did drive and see that. I've been on the BZA for a long time, and I never,
Your neighbor's property, we want to get that.
ever,
Sure.
I don't, we'll make it anonymous.
take
We
care of
won't, but I've never seen that in the
Thank you.
town, ever. And I don't think in my tenure I've ever seen,
It seemed off to me, I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
not
fence
sure
looked
they
relatively
had,
new. That's why it was more concerning. I'm like,
I have neighbors, I have friends that live on your street, and I don't recall that fence being there, but again, I've not been there in quite a while, but we'll take that up with, thank you. I was trying to figure who does that, so, anyway.
And just for the record, I am the attorney for the town of Dyer, and I'm used to being on the other side of this process. So it's been a learning experience, and I appreciate the work you do, and thank you.
Thank you. I figured you had some experience the way you conducted
if you're-
yourself, so probably better than myself. Mr. Sheeta, thank you so much. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Next on the agenda, new old business, which I'm told there's none. Public comment. I don't know if we have anybody online that has a comment. I noticed I didn't also open it up to questions either, but we didn't have anybody here, and I don't think we have anybody online. So, am I correct? Okay. Skipped over some things today. My apologies.